decided to start with the infamous yoga pose known as downward facing dog. This is one of the most popular yoga poses, and it's a full body yoga pose. So we're working most every muscle in our body, but it's also a resting pose. So it's very invigorating. It gives us a lot of energy. I do one in the morning, or a few in the morning. Helps get my body just awake and shifting from sleep mode to, for me, mom mode, but really just anyone wanting to have a little bit of energy before their first cup of coffee. So I also make my husband do a few in the morning, helps him get ready for work. So I'm excited because I feel like this pose is very popular, but also very misunderstood. There are so many different variations of downward facing dog. There are much easier ways to do it than just in the middle of your floor with no props. There are fun ways to do it, ways that I actually prefer to do it, that just work better for the way my body is shaped and set up. So I'm going to dive into all of the different ways we can do it, and I hope that you try them out and see what feels good on your body. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to show you is using the edge of a chair. This can also be the edge of a couch, a coffee table, and it can be higher than this. So this has many variations in and of itself, but I'm going to use my yoga chair here just to show you. So you can place the heel of your hand here on the edge of the piece of furniture, but if that hurts your wrists, you can just lay your palms flat on the surface. Chairs are better here for this version because it's good to grip the sides of the chair. You don't want to just have your hands slide, and on a couch that could happen. So just keep that in mind. I like to press my palms of my hand into the edge of the surface. Also works with stairs, so you can choose what height of the stair and just press into the edge of the step. So you'll just start here pressing into the chair. You'll slowly start to walk your feet back. But the feeling that I want you to focus on here is that you're trying to bring your head towards your toes. And it's like you're threading your chest through your upper arms, trying to touch the center of your chest to the floor. So if you can envision and think with your body how that would feel, and you can watch here, I'm bringing my feet back. You can also adjust them at any time. And about a foot apart should be your back feet here, always with your second toes facing forward. So watch that your feet aren't coming out, coming in, facing forward, nice firm grip on the ground. And I'm gonna press into this chair and start bringing my head towards my feet, my chest towards the ground. Breathing, keeping our arms straight. Long, deep breaths. And this is my first one of the day, so I'm warming up here. Not trying to overdo anything. I'm gonna come up. Don't hold poses for too long, maybe 3-4 big breaths, unless you're really uncomfortable. Don't hold them for longer than your body says, okay, we're good. But it's nice to try and go back into it a few times after that because you can usually hold it longer and longer. So that's a version. You can even play with heights here, adding, blocks. Just, you'll kind of get a feeling of what's a good height for you, and then you can slowly start to work your way lower and lower. So the next version I'm going to show you is Having our hands just up on some yoga blocks. So I've got a couple different sizes, just to show it doesn't really matter. I like to use the thicker blocks myself, and they can be placed against a wall, or if you have a nice sticky yoga mat, that should work, as long as they don't move. But it's basically all of the same actions that we were doing with the chair. We're either pressing our hands into the edge of the block, or we're getting a nice flat grip on the top. And we're gonna come up, slowly walk our feet back, trying to keep your heels on the ground, but if that's not happening, no big deal. Just make sure your legs are straight, your kneecaps are drawn in and up, if you can imagine and feel that with your body. Keeping our arms straight. They also tend to not want to straighten fully, so just thinking about that, trying to straighten them. I'm going to lift my heels up just to help loosen things up. And I'm going to bring one down at a time. See, my blocks are kind of slipping here. This is an old mat I'm using. That's why against a wall is nice here, having your blocks against a wall. Also, you know, 2 books, 2 dictionaries. Why would you own 2 dictionaries? I don't know, but the idea of this series is to show we can just be creative. We're creative humans. So if you're like, well, I don't have those and I don't want to buy those, but what do I have around my house? I have a step, a staircase, furniture. Just use your little noggin here, because these poses are so beneficial and they feel so good, and sometimes we think, well, I don't have yoga blocks, so I can't do them, but no, not the case. So I'm going to adjust the camera to show you a side view of some alternative ways to get into this pose using a beloved wall. This next version of downward facing dog, Sanskrit name Adho Mukha Svanasana, is heels up the wall. So I love this version. I think most people do who aren't so flexible in this pose yet. I'll show you how to get into it, but there are lots of ways to be creative in how we get into poses. So, you know, if you have knee issues, if you have ankle issues, wrist issues, be mindful, and you can always ask me, send me a message or a comment. I'm happy to let you know for your specific body type, you know, if you're having some pain getting into these poses. But I'm just going to show you what I do, and you can either play with it yourself or ask me. So I get into this pose. You're going to go as up on your tippy toes as you comfortably can, and put the rest of your foot against the wall. So I'll do one foot, kind of bend down, get my palms flat on the ground. A couple key things here. In down dog, you want your palms spread out, all the fingers pressing into the ground. You always want those index fingers pointing directly forward, so they're not too far out, too far in. So I'm just gonna keep that in mind as I get up on my hands, bring my other foot to the wall, and slowly I'm gonna walk my hands out and try and keep all those actions going. So my head towards my feet, my chest towards the ground, keeping my legs straight. Having our heels up the wall offers so much more freedom in our legs, so we can be a little less focused on what's going on in our legs and focus on what we're doing here with our upper part of our body. It feels really good and freeing and opening, allowing us to really focus on each part of the body if we're not so flexible in our legs and getting our heels to the ground. So let's try it. I'll bring my hands out here, lift myself up, straighten this leg, bring this ankle to the wall, about a foot apart. Play with that distance, though. Further apart makes it easier. Closer together is a little harder. So I'm gonna walk my hands out, not too far. Try and bring my head back, keeping my neck loose, and and pushing my chest through. Feels really nice. Coming out, you can bring your knees to the ground, you can step in. Just be gentle with yourself. So, love that version. But I'm currently working on getting my heels to stay on the ground, so I will end showing you one more way to come into the pose that's encouraging the back of our legs to really open up, stretch, and get those heels to the ground. So real quick, gonna stand about a foot apart, second toes facing forward, and I'm just gonna come down. Doesn't matter if you look pretty or if you're, you know, concave back, that helps, but just touch the ground. You can even bend your knees at first. And you can have blocks here. Take your time. But my legs are straight and they're staying straight. And I'm just slowly gonna walk my hands out to a point where I feel like my heels are definitely going to come up after this. And I hold there. Breathe. Encourage them to stay on the ground. And I just keep walking my hands out further and further till I can get my palms on the ground. And I'm just holding. I don't need to look pretty here. I don't need to be in the final pose. I'm just really focusing right now on my legs. So I can really spend some time on that area and just move around. And it's really important to be paying special mind to each part of a pose instead of just trying to jump right to, I want to look like that final version. It doesn't matter what we look like. That's the wonderful thing about yoga, especially when you're alone. Nobody's watching, so you get to feel your body out and play around with it. So try these out. I really hope they help. This is such a great pose. I think the world needs to be loosening up and really opening our bodies up to love and more open type of feelings, not this constricted anger and chaos I think we're all feeling. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll post my next living room video soon. Take care.